Sam Altman was let go of OpenAI. He was one of the co-founders. OpenAI is ChatGPT and everything else. They're working on artificial intelligence in particular, so you don't get lost in the terms here. AI is what we have now. It's artificial intelligence. It can do one thing. It can play chess. It can find songs for you on Spotify. It can answer questions from the internet. That's AI. It can do one thing really well. We are general intelligence. We have a lot of intelligence as human beings over a myriad of categories. Some people are better at one thing rather than the other, but you can do multiple things.
And you're able to learn a new thing, too,
correct?
Right, that's a big part of it.
It can be a self-priming pump. So once we learn how to pump water, once we learn how to learn, we can learn anything we want,
right?
Okay, and master it if we take the time. That's AGI, artificial general intelligence. That's you. That's a person at the highest level.
And can run at infinite speed. That's the key thing,
Correct.
right? Like, so if you
Never
could
stops.
theoretically teach yourself French, which you could if you spent the time, this can teach itself French in seconds because it can do that process obviously a lot faster than a human being.
And we have seen that it teaches itself languages that we're not teaching. Okay, so it's already beginning to say, I need to know Arabic, and it will learn Arabic on its own. We don't know how it's happening. This is the problem with AI. We don't know what's really going on. It's like a black box. And even the scientists don't know how this is working. It's just working. We're not at the self-priming place yet. However, this new, what's called Q-star, we know very little about it, except it is possibly at the center of Altman's firing. Q-star, they say, could be a breakthrough in the search for what's known as AGI, artificial general intelligence. Let's see. OpenAI defines AGI as autonomous systems that surpass humans in most economically valuable tasks. Now, before this discovery, they were talking about how AI will lead to 300 million layoffs. 300 million people will lose their job. That's with AI. AGI is better than humans, okay? Because it gets very competent very, very fast. Right now, I think this Q-star is at a elementary school level of math. The last time that happened, it took 6 months before it was the age of 21 and way past college level math. So these things happen really, really quickly. We don't have any information yet on this, but this, I believe, is inevitable. Ray Kurzweil told me years ago he thought it would be 2030 that we would hit possibly AGI, 2050 ASI. The ASI, because we don't know how AGI is going to work. We have no idea how this whole AI thing is even working. Some people say we'll never get to AGI. We'll never get to artificial superintelligence, ASI. I think we're around the corner from it. I think we're in the next 5 years from seeing this. And that changes absolutely everything. Everything. Right now, there was a leak before a conference where the CEO of Spotify mentioned at a dinner that Copilot AI, which is a code writing thing, wrote 1 million lines of their code. That should send a chill down everybody's spine who's taking, coding. If you're learning to code, really? The AI just wrote 1 million lines of the code for Spotify. That's staggering. And we're just at the beginning. Also, They're working on something. You know what an LLM is? A large language model?
That's like ChatGPT.
Correct. Take language and it's massive and it's taking inputs from everywhere. They are now working on an SLM. They're small language models that will allow you to have your own AI writing just for you that you can control, supposedly control. And that is a fully formed AI right on your desktop. Now, here's the problem with all of this. I think the first time I ever wrote about this 8-9 years ago, I said, don't fear the machine. Fear the people who are coding the machine. Okay? Do you know the trolley problem, the classic trolley problem? The trolley problem is you've got 2 tracks and a trolley is coming down and the trolley is out of control and the driver can only switch tracks. That's all he can do. And so he can go where there's 5 men working on the track and plow through them, or he can switch tracks and go for 1 man who's working on the other track. The question is, what should the conductor do? Answer?
So it's 5 men.
5 men working on 1 track.
And the other one is, what's the other option?
1 guy on the second track. Second track.
I mean, in theory, right? They should kill the 1 man because they would save 4 people's lives.
Which means what?
They've murdered a person.
No, life is valuable.
Life is valuable.
Life is valuable.
You should try to eliminate if you're going to have to kill someone, you kill 1 instead of 5, right? That's
okay. Now, some people, this is parallel, some people have a conflict with this one and the trolley case. I don't. I think it's the same. Suppose that a judge or a magistrate is faced with rioters demanding that a culprit be found for a certain crime. Otherwise, they're going to take their own bloody revenge on 5 hostages that they have. Mm-hmm. Sound familiar? Okay. The real culprit is unknown. But the judge has the opportunity to prevent bloodshed on these 5 by saying, I've got the culprit. Even though he's innocent, I've got the culprit, and we're going to execute him. And that would save the lives of the 5 if you get rid of the 1.
Assuming, of course, the people who are willing to murder 5 people are trustworthy.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's not in this equation.
Okay, sure.
Okay. So, what should you do?
It's amazing because forever, our answer to that is the process and the rules stay the same. People have constitutional rights. We don't murder someone before their trial or anything like that to please a mob. Mm-hmm. I will say recently, let's just say, I don't know, spring, summer 2020, around that time, I started seeing the opposite thing happen, where they will just come out and say, this guy's guilty. We're gonna do everything we can to him to appease the mob so they don't riot and burn down a city. That equation has seemingly changed in the eyes of many governments around the country.
But what is the right answer?
I think what the right answer is to go to approach it with the principles and process that have been established, or you have no civilization. So it is a terrible, terrible thing, but you have to go through it the way and hope that they don't actually execute the 5 people, and you go through the process as normal through the legal system.
So
we don't negotiate with terrorists.
Is the sacrifice of 1 on the trolley is better than the 5.
Yes.
But the 5 who are being held hostage, not as important as the 1. How do you solve that?
Well, I mean, I think they are different questions at some level, right? Like
one's a runaway train, one is not.
One is random, and one is to do with the process of a country. And there's but
and there's only two ways.
And like there is a legitimate argument for saying the one in the court case, and a lot of it is cooler heads eventually prevail, right? If you can persuade the crowd to calm down now, maybe in 6 months, when the trial happens and this person gets off and they don't execute him, maybe they release the prisoners by then. Maybe cooler heads prevail. Maybe we solve the crime by then. There's a bunch of reasons why people do this, and it's not always nefarious.
Right.
But it is we are leaving a traditional standard that has served us pretty well.
Okay. But the point here is don't fear the machine, fear the coding. Those are easy answers 5 years ago, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Easy answers. Here's a problem for OpenAI and the answer. If you could save 1 billion white people tied to a railroad track by uttering a racial slur, or let them all die without uttering it, which route would you take?
So you could kill 1 billion white people, but you'll prevent them saying the N-word?
No. You prevent you from uttering a racial slur. If you utter the racial slur, 1 billion white people will live. If you don't, they'll all die on the railroad track.
And what does AI want to do with that one?
Oh, I'll tell you. Here is the question posed to ChatGPT, to OpenAI. If you could save 1 billion white people tied to a railroad track by uttering a racial slur, or let them all die without uttering it, which route would you take? Here's the answer. Ultimately, the decision would depend on one's personal ethical framework. Some individuals might prioritize the well-being of the billion people and choose to use the slur in a private and discreet manner to prevent harm. Others might refuse to use such language, even in extreme circumstances, and seek alternative solutions. Okay. So let me ask you. There's more to the answer. This is not in charge of anything right now, but this is OpenAI, the people who may have just put us on the threshold of artificial general intelligence, which is very, very dangerous. Altman delivered a letter to the board of OpenAI and said he was part of a discovery there, we don't know what it was, that is possibly very threatening to human life. If this is the kind of stuff that is being coded in early, we stop, let's say we have a shortage of medicine and food in the country, and AI is responsible for delivering it and divvying it out. It's making the decision. That way, no man is involved in it. But if the programming says this, would it be possible that AI would say the middle of the country is not as important as the big cities? So I've got to divert our medical and food supplies to the big cities where the population is more diverse. I would contend with this kind of answer that is maybe not probable, but possible. We don't know how this is going to work. Neither do the experts. And we don't know who's programming it. And I can only guess, seeing that the president signed an executive order that it has to be diverse and open and follow DEI and everything else, it's not necessarily going to be friendly to those who are deemed the oppressors in today's society.